everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kitty and I'm an academic junior doctor working in the UK. Today we'll be reviewing the Keychron K2 version 2 mechanical keyboard. So I bought this keyboard about 2 to 3 months ago for my workstation at home, and you can check out the unboxing video here. As an academic doctor, this means that I do a lot of research alongside my clinical duties. So whenever I'm not being a doctor at the hospital, I tend to sit at this desk a lot at home and do a lot of work on this computer. And a quintessential piece of this workspace is of course a really nice keyboard. For a really long time I was using the Apple Magic Keyboard for my work, which is really nice, but I really wanted the tactile, satisfying click of a mechanical keyboard, so after a lot of research, I went with the K2. In this review, I'm going to start with an upfront summary of how I found the keyboard after 2 to 3 months of use, and I'm going to separate the rest of the review in various sections, which you can see on the timestamps on the video. I'm going to preface this review by saying that I'm not a mechanical keyboard expert, and admittedly, I've not had much experience with many mechanical keyboards in my life. So, you know, this is not the expert keyboard review that you're looking for and all that. But I can give you my honest consumer opinion, as this video is sadly not sponsored by Keychron. So let's start with an upfront summary. Do I like this keyboard? Yes, I think it's a really nice keyboard that I'm probably going to be using for a long time in the future. I like the design, I like the typing experience, the battery life is good, and the compatibility with a Mac computer is a big selling point for me. The only nitpicks I have with this keyboard is the ABS keycaps and the lack of PBT options, and some people might find that the keyboard is still a bit too high for them to use in comfort without a wrist rest, although this isn't a problem for me. In terms of the price, I think that the K2 is absolutely worth it for the build quality that it offers and is relatively inexpensive in the world of mechanical keyboards. So yes, whilst you could save some money by getting a £10 keyboard off Amazon, I think that the joy you will get out of using this keyboard and the productivity gains that you'll have is very worth it for the value. Okay, so now that we've done the upfront summary, let's delve into a deeper review of the keyboard. Firstly, let's talk about the design. The K2 has a 75% layout with 84 keys, and the configuration I have is the RGB backlighting with the aluminium case. Overall, I'm very happy with the build quality. With the aluminium casing, the keyboard feels very sturdy and top quality. The 2-stage extension feet on the back are really sturdy as well, and you can use them to adjust the angle to your liking. There was one occasion where my charging cable got stuck in the legs, and as I pulled on it, one of the legs popped off, but I was able to put it back in with relative ease, and I've not had any trouble with it since. The ports and buttons reside on the left side of the K2 keyboard. The USB-C charging port lights up when connected, and the LED color indicates whether the charging is complete or not, which is nice. You also have a tactile sliding switch for using a Mac or Windows key layout, and next to that, the switch to turn the keyboard off, or to Bluetooth or to cable mode. The switches have got these little tactile bumps on them, so again it makes it very sturdy and they won't slide on accident when you bump them. The keycaps that come with the K2 are ABS. Generally, I really like the way these feel and the way they look, with an even coat of paint, 2-tone coloured greys and an orange button highlight at the top. Personally, I really like this colour scheme as I prefer quite minimalistic colour patterns, but for some of you who might want more colourful options, I'm afraid that the options for the Keychron keyboards are quite limited. The lettering on the keyboard is really clean and sharp as well, and the RGB light does not bleed through. Unfortunately, there is the downside to these keycaps that I don't like, which is due to the fact that they're ABS, over time they will develop a shine through with use. Even with just 2 to 3 months of use, you can see that some of these keys are already getting quite shiny compared to other keys you can see that I don't use as often. Now, I'm somebody who typically uses this keyboard at my desk for maybe 2 to 3 hours on a weekday when I come home from work in the evening, and maybe a bit more on the weekend. So I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a very heavy user for this keyboard, unlike somebody who's working 8 hours a day at their desk. To be honest, for the price that you're paying, I can understand why Keychron ships these with ABS keyboards, but I really would have preferred the option of PBT keycaps, which wouldn't have this issue of the shine over time. You can order a set of PBT keycaps off the Keychron website as an accessory for around £20 to £30, but the colour scheme again is quite limited, and they don't actually do this orange and grey colour tone on those sets, so I really wish they offered more options when customizing the keyboard on your first purchase. So now let's talk about the ergonomics of using this keyboard. One of the biggest differences between version 1 and version 2 of the K2 mechanical keyboard is the side profile in terms of its height and slant. When the K2 first came out, so version 1, one of the biggest criticisms that they had was that the keyboard was too high, and as a result, a lot of users had wrist pain when they were using the keyboard unless they bought a wrist rest along with it. The K2 version 2 improves on this by having more of an inclined side profile. Visually, the difference is probably not that drastic, but from a lot of user comments, this has actually improved a lot upon the original K2. Now, I've never used the original version 1 of the K2 keyboard, but personally, I've never had a trouble typing on this in terms of wrist pain and wrist strain. In general, I found the typing experience very comfortable, and that's coming from someone who is used to having a very flat Apple Magic keyboard. I do not and have never used a wrist rest, and I'm quite comfortable typing with my wrist off the table rather than on it, but for those of you who are used to potentially putting your wrist on the table as you type, you might still want to invest in a wrist rest. Now, of course, one of the most important aspects of owning a mechanical keyboard is the typing experience. I got mine K2 with Gateron Brown switches, which are tactile switches but less loud than the Cherry Blues. Keychron supplies their K2 keyboards with an option of Gateron red, blue or brown switches. At the time that I purchased my K2, they were not yet hot swappable, but Keychron has now come out with an updated version where you can swap out the switches to whatever you like. Overall, I really like the Gateron Brown switches. I wish you could feel what this keyboard feels like. Maybe someday in the dystopian future, YouTube will have a sensory thing where you can feel it for yourself, but this is just excellent. I like that it actuates, I like that it lets me know I've hit the key. It's just overall a very pleasant experience. As for the sound, you can listen for yourself. It is obviously much louder than your typical membrane keyboard, but this just adds to the part of the satisfaction of owning a mechanical keyboard. The only downside to this, I would say, is if you were in a Zoom meeting, particularly in today's climate, this might be a bit loud and a bit distracting unless you have yourself muted. So sometimes I would switch back to my Apple Magic Keyboard just for those occasions. But I can say for definite that typing on this keyboard is far more satisfying because of the tactile feel. In terms of the layout of the keyboard, it did take me some time to get used to this because I was using a 100% Apple Magic keyboard and coming from a 75% laptop layout. In particular, the right shift key and the arrow keys are slightly different than what I'm used to, especially with these home buttons and end page and up page. So I did find that when I first transitioned to this keyboard, I would always sort of accidentally hit the up arrow when I was pressing shift, or hit the end button when I'm trying to use the arrow keys. But this is much more of a me issue rather than any issues with the keyboard at all. The K2 comes with 18 different lighting modes which can be changed with the light button on the top, and you can change the colors by using the function and the arrow keys. Now I know this is probably different for everyone, but personally I care a bit less for the RGB just because I touch type, I don't look at the keyboard when I type, so visually it's less of a issue for me than perhaps for some other people. I'm also more of a minimalistic type of person, so I don't really want rainbow RGBs going across my keyboard all the time. So I usually just have the light on my keyboard off, or I have it on a setting where the key lights up when I press it, which looks quite neat. As I said earlier, the ABS keycaps are really well manufactured and I really like the lettering. There's no bleed through when the light comes through. Connectivity and compatibility. As I mentioned earlier, the K2 can be connected via either Bluetooth or cable. Now, one of the biggest selling points of the Keychron keyboard is that it is Mac compatible, and that's a huge reason behind why I chose this keyboard, and certainly a big reason for a lot of other Mac users who are looking for an affordable and easy to use mechanical keyboard. Most mechanical keyboards out there are made for Windows users, and yes, you could very easily remap the keys to your liking, but there's just something nice about having a command key saying command rather than Windows or Alt. And Keychron has made their keyboards with a Mac user in mind, so in the box you can find spare keycaps for both a Mac layout as well as a Windows layout. In addition to that, all the function keys on this keyboard are also mapped with Mac users in mind, so you have, your launch pad and the space and your brightness, volume controls, etc, which is again really nice for the Mac user out there. And all you have to do is switch the switch on the side to a Mac layout and everything is pre-mapped and works, and it's great. And switching back to Windows is as easy as putting the keycaps supplied by Keychron, switching them out and switching the key to a Windows layout. That's all you do. In terms of Bluetooth connectivity, the K2 can connect up to 3 devices, so you can pair it with your laptop, your iPad and your phone, and it's pretty easy to switch between them using just the function and the 1, 2, 3 key buttons. So far, I do have to disclose that I had one issue with the Bluetooth where it just stopped working one day and nothing I do would get it to connect again. So what I did there was just do a factory reset and then connected it to my Mac, and I have had no trouble since. In terms of the battery on the K2 is absolutely massive. That's probably why this keyboard is so thick compared to some of the other keyboards out there. The battery in this keyboard is 4000 mAh, and according to Keychron can last up to 240 hours with the backlight off. If you're someone who has the RGB lighting on all the time, then obviously it would be a bit shorter. For me personally, I'm somebody who has it usually on a setting where it only lights up when I press the key. And in the last 3 months of using this keyboard, I probably only properly charged it maybe 3 to 4 times, and I've never had it die on me in the middle of using it. And it's been really nice to, just charge it when I remember to, and it's never died on me. The K2 does come with a USB-C cable, which is at a 90 degrees angle that slots into the side. Some people really don't like that for some reason. I personally don't really mind so much, but actually I don't use that cable at all because I just use whatever USB-C cable is available on my desk for charging absolutely everything that I own. And it works perfectly when connected to a power outlet. So finally, let's talk about the price. So the K2 version 2 keyboard that I've got starts at $69 on the Keychron website, which comes with a white backlight and a plastic frame. If you want an RGB backlight, then it becomes $79, and if you want an aluminium frame, then it comes to $89 US. And like I said, you then have an option of using a Gateron red, blue or brown switch. If you do want a hot swappable version, then the white backlight will be $79 and the aluminium frame with RGB lighting will be $99. In terms of the configuration of your keyboard, personally I would always go for the aluminium frame. I think it just looks much more sturdier, much more robust, and the build quality and everything just looks so much better with an aluminium frame. And if you're going to be spending this amount of money on a nice mechanical keyboard, I think that the extra $20 US is definitely worth it to get the nicer aluminium frame. In terms of whether you should get the hot swappable or the normal version, I think that depends completely on your personal user case. For me, I could do without it. I'm fairly happy with just a stock standard Gateron Brown switches, but if you're somebody who has really particular needs in terms of your mechanical keyboards, you know exactly what switches you want, or for example, you can only work with cherry reds, that's completely fine. Or if you're somebody who wants like a different sound for your spacebar compared to the rest of the keyboard, then hot swappable is the version that you want to get. And it's only $10 US more. So if you're somebody who either wants to switch them out either way, or you're someone who thinks maybe in the future you would want to play around with the configuration of your keyboard or have the option to do so, then I think it's reasonable to go for the hot swappable version. And so that concludes my review of the Keychron K2 version 2 mechanical keyboard. Overall, I really like this keyboard. It's a great piece of kit to add to my desk space, and for those of you who are Mac users out there, this is really a no-brainer choice if you want to venture into the world of mechanical keyboards. It is relatively inexpensive in the world of mechanical keyboards as well, which is a great starter board. I've had a great time with this keyboard. The typing experience is excellent. I like the RGB options, I like the way it looks, and I can highly recommend this keyboard to anyone who is looking to upgrade their desk space. Again, this video is not sponsored by Keychron, but if you do want to buy a Keychron product, there is a referral link down in the description below, which would give you 10% off your purchase, and it would also give me a tiny bit of a discount if I buy from their store again. I hope this review has been useful. Let me know in the comments section what you think of the Keychron keyboards, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content regarding tech, productivity, and studying in the future as well. That's it for now, and see you next time.